Hi there. Today we're going to see what actually happens to your body if you eat 2 eggs every single day after 60, from day 1 all the way to day 30. You may have heard for years that eggs raise cholesterol or should be avoided as you get older. But what surprised researchers and shocked many seniors is what started happening by the second week. Some people noticed changes in energy, fullness, and even strength, while others experienced effects they never expected. But before you start adding eggs to breakfast every morning, there's one important thing that determines whether this helps you or works against you. Let's start with what happens in the first 72 hours. I'm Ellis, and a few years ago, after turning 60, I started noticing I just didn't feel like myself anymore. My energy wasn't the same. I felt hungry all the time, and little things like getting through the day or getting up from the sofa just seemed harder than they used to. I kept hearing completely different advice. One person said eggs were healthy. Another said they'd destroy your cholesterol. It wasn't until I started digging into the actual science behind protein and aging that things finally started making sense. That's why I created this channel, to cut through the confusion and share what actually works, so you don't waste years making the same mistakes I did. Alright, now let's actually walk through this day by day, because what happens when you eat 2 eggs every day after 60 may not be what you expect. And here's something interesting. Most people assume the first thing we're going to talk about is cholesterol. But strangely enough, that often isn't the first thing people notice at all. In fact, some of the earliest changes can begin within just a few days. And stay with me, because what starts happening around week 2 surprised many people. And by day 30, there's one effect that almost nobody talks about. Day 1 to 3. Your body gets something it may have been missing. By the time we pass age 60, our bodies begin changing in ways many people never notice at first. Not overnight, not suddenly, quietly, year by year. One of the biggest changes is that maintaining muscle becomes harder. Your body simply becomes less efficient at holding onto muscle tissue compared with when you were younger. You might be wondering, what does that have to do with breakfast? Quite a lot. Because 2 eggs might look small sitting on a plate, but nutritionally they can deliver a surprisingly concentrated package of protein and nutrients. Think of protein like building material. Imagine your house slowly needing repairs over time. Maybe a loose roof tile here, a crack there. Small repairs happening constantly. Your body works similarly. Muscles repair, cells renew, tissues rebuild. And after 60, your body still wants those materials, sometimes even more than before. The problem is, many people unintentionally start eating less protein as they get older. Breakfast becomes toast, cereal, tea and biscuits, maybe jam on toast, maybe just coffee. Sound familiar? Now, there's nothing wrong with enjoying those foods, but for many people, they simply don't provide much staying power. And that's where some people notice one of the earliest changes: fullness. Not dramatic fullness, not I can't eat for 12 hours fullness. Just less grazing, less wandering into the kitchen an hour later, less standing in front of the fridge opening and closing the door, while somehow expecting a different result each time. You know what I mean. Because protein tends to digest differently compared with highly processed carbohydrates. Some people notice breakfast suddenly keeps them going longer. And what happens next starts becoming noticeable around the end of the first week. Day 7. Your energy may begin feeling more stable. Now, when people hear the word energy, they often imagine one of those supplement commercials. Suddenly running marathons, dancing around the kitchen, feeling 25 again. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about steadier energy. Because after 60, many people begin noticing something they simply accept as normal. Energy peaks, energy crashes, the afternoon wall. You know the one. Around 2 or 3 p.m., your body suddenly feels like somebody unplugged the batteries. You sit down for 5 minutes. Next thing you know, you're waking up wondering what year it is. Now, eggs are not magic, but they do provide protein along with nutrients that your body uses every day. And many people report feeling less of that roller coaster effect, less hungry, more satisfied, steadier. And here's where things become interesting. Because for decades, eggs developed a reputation. Maybe you remember hearing it. Don't eat too many. Skip the yolk. Eggs raise cholesterol. Only eat egg whites. For years, people became genuinely afraid of eggs. And maybe you were too. You might be sitting there thinking, wait a minute, Ellis. I thought eggs were supposed to be bad for me. That's fair. Because nutrition advice has changed a lot over the years. Food is often much more complicated than simply labeling something healthy or unhealthy. Context matters. The rest of your diet matters. Your overall health matters. And before anyone misunderstands me, if your doctor has given you specific dietary advice, follow that guidance, always. But by week 2, something else may start getting your attention, and surprisingly, it has less to do with breakfast itself. Day 14. Your muscles may notice something before you do. Now, this part catches many people off guard, because when people hear the words muscle strength, they immediately picture gyms, heavy weights, bodybuilders, dumbbells, mirrors. But after age 60, maintaining strength often becomes less about building huge muscles and more about protecting independence. And that changes everything. Because strength after 60 looks different. Strength means standing from a chair easily, carrying shopping bags, climbing stairs without feeling exhausted, getting off the floor without losing balance. Those little things become very big things. You might be wondering, can 2 eggs really do all that by themselves? No, absolutely not. But remember, we're not talking about one breakfast. We're talking about repetition, daily habits, consistency, because consistency quietly changes the body. And many people underestimate how much small habits matter. Imagine putting 1 coin into a savings account. 1 coin feels meaningless. Day 2, still meaningless. Day 7, nothing exciting. But over time, it grows. Health habits work exactly the same way. Tiny deposits repeated again and again. And by day 30, many people start noticing something that surprised even them. Day 30, the change that most people don't expect. Now remember the thumbnail. Day 30 shocked me. Here's why. People expect dramatic transformations. They expect movie scenes, standing in front of mirrors, life-changing moments. But the reality is often much quieter. People frequently describe something much simpler. They say, I just feel better. And that sounds boring until you think about it. Because feeling better matters, feeling steadier matters, feeling stronger matters, feeling more satisfied matters, especially after 60. Because health changes often happen gradually. Problems don't suddenly appear overnight. You don't wake up one morning and instantly become weaker. It happens little by little. And positive changes often happen the same way, slowly, quietly, until one day you realize something feels different. Maybe breakfast keeps you full longer. Maybe you snack less. Maybe your energy feels steadier. Maybe you simply feel more consistent. Now, before you rush to your kitchen and start eating eggs every morning, there's something very important we need to talk about, because this next part matters. Who should be careful? Because healthy foods still aren't perfect for every person. Some individuals have allergies. Some people have specific health conditions. Some people have been given individual instructions from doctors. And preparation matters too. Because 2 boiled eggs with fruit and whole foods around them, very different situation. Compared with eggs served alongside heavily processed foods every single morning. Sometimes what surrounds the food changes the outcome more than the food itself. And that's something many people overlook. Final payoff. So what actually happens if you eat 2 eggs every day after 60? For most people, it probably isn't some overnight miracle. You don't wake up transformed. You don't suddenly become 30 again. But you may be giving your body something it increasingly needs as the years go on. Protein, nutrition, consistency. And sometimes the habits that seem smallest end up creating the biggest differences. Because healthy aging usually isn't one huge decision, it's hundreds of tiny ones, repeated every day. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more videos just like this one. And let me know in the comments, how many eggs do you eat each week?